Hello there, and welcome to the scruffy-looking Nerd Herders podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, bringing you all things nerd and geek-related. And on this episode, I'm going to be discussing the most recent news regards to the DC Universe movies with Henry Cavill as Superman and that whole thing that just happened recently. And I'm going to be discussing Ben Affleck as Batman, and I'm going to be talking about a little bit of gaming news as well. All right, and I'm just going to jump right on in here. So, just the other day, there was a rumor, I guess you could say, about Henry Cavill, and because he announced that, and him and Netflix announced that he was going to be cast as Geralt for Netflix's series they're going to be doing of the adaptation of The Witcher, which I think is fantastic. I'm super glad they're doing it. The books are fantastic, and the games are amazing, so I'm pretty excited for that. But in wake of this announcement, there was talks that Henry Cavill was pretty upset with Warner Brothers because he was supposed to have a cameo in the upcoming Shazam movie as Superman, and so that fell through. He wasn't going to be getting a cameo. He wasn't really happy. There was rumors that he wasn't happy about what's been going on with Superman, and he wasn't happy with the there hasn't really been a set schedule for upcoming Superman properties, and so I don't think he's really been excited about that. And so I think that combined with he was cast as Geralt in the Netflix show for The Witcher, I think the internet kind of ran with that he isn't going to be Superman anymore. And so because of that, there was this huge rumor, like a bunch of outlets, like nerdy news outlets, like IGN, Kotaku, Comic Book News, Screen Rant, like all these websites were reporting, that there was a rumor that he was stepping down as Superman. But then Henry Cavill posted this really odd and just like weird video on Instagram of him wearing a Superman themed shirt. And then he was just like kind of slowly like bringing up like this action figure of him as Superman, and I don't know, and then like his agent tweeted that the cape is still in his closet, so I don't know. And then now there's even further reports that this was all kind of just like fake outrage created by WB themselves. And I don't know, like Warner Brothers, they just need to get their shit together. Like the DC universe is a mess. Like the movies haven't been overly great. I mean, this is just coming from my opinion. I did not think Man of Steel was good. I did not like Batman versus Superman. I didn't care for Wonder Woman because I felt like it was a movie we'd already seen in Captain America: The First Avenger. I was not a fan of Suicide Squad. That movie was absolute garbage. And like Justice League, like I just now watched Justice League like 2 weeks ago. But I mean, it was enjoyable, but it wasn't, it felt like it was okay. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, this is a really super great movie, like the villain was forgettable. I can't even tell you who the villain was in the movie. The pacing was super fast. I don't know. And I felt like they were trying to like cram in all these origins for these other characters that, like Cyborg and Flash. Anyway, that's getting off topic. But so they're just a mess, and they really just need to get their act together, because I feel like they can make fantastic movies. Christopher Nolan's trilogy of the Batman movies is proof of that. Like, those movies were fantastic. And so they can make fantastic movies if they take their time and they do it right and they don't try to just like churn out movies to try to keep up with Marvel. Because here's the thing, Marvel's been doing it for 10 years, so they've got the jump on you. So the best bet is to take your time and do it right. So anyway, that whole thing was happening with Henry Cavill, and like now, so I don't know what's going on. I guess he's still Superman, but I don't know. We'll see. In other news regarding DC Universe movies, Ben Affleck is rumored or has been confirmed. I can't really remember. There's a lot of rumor crap going along. But he's going to be stepping down as Bruce Wayne or Batman amidst checking back into rehab. And I wish him all the best. I hope. I don't know exactly what it was that he's going to rehab for. That's really none of my business. It's nobody's business, really. But since it's been announced he's going to rehab, I wish him all the best. I hope he can come clean, whatever it is, work through whatever it is he's going through, and come out a better person for it. But in regards to that role as Bruce Wayne and Batman, John Hamm has came out stating that though he hasn't actually talked with anyone yet from a studio, he was just kind of thrown out there like, hey, I'd like to be Batman if you give me the opportunity. And John Hamm is a really good actor, and I feel like he would fit really perfect as the roles of Bruce Wayne and Batman. I think it would be pretty damn cool. I would probably actually want to go see a Batman movie. So in other news, Iron Fist Season 2 was released, and it is currently sitting at 50% at Rotten Tomatoes, and it seems to be more widely received as opposed to its first season. And I'm pretty sure I'm in the minority here, but I actually enjoyed the first season. But it could also be a bias because I also really like Iron Fist as a character, and I was always a fan of the comics, so it's probably just my own personal bias. But I haven't watched season 2 yet. I plan on watching it episode by episode, and then at least one episode a week. And then on each episode of the podcast, I thought I would go ahead and just do a review for each episode that I watch in each episode of the podcast. So look forward to that coming up in the future, probably next week, actually. I think I'll actually be able to watch an episode before next week's episode of the podcast. And I'll do a review for the episode and kind of discuss it. So be forewarned, there will more than likely be spoilers for each episode of Iron Fist Season 2. In other news, Venom has officially gotten a PG-13 rating, which honestly wasn't really a surprise to me. Sony likes to play it super safe with all their superhero movies. They, aren't really trying to take risks. And I really wasn't expecting there to be a rated R Venom movie. I feel like eventually they'll probably do like a Blu-ray director's cut or, like a rated R cut or something like that. That'll have, the stuff that was cut from it. And I think that'd be cool. I don't know. I know like they're projecting that Venom's going to break box office records. I don't know. I'm just not really super hyped about Venom. I couldn't care less at this point. I just really want Marvel to get all their properties back and just be done with it. I know that may sound like a Marvel fanboy kind of thing, but I just feel like it would be cool for Marvel to own all their properties again and just to be able to do whatever the hell they want to do with their stuff and make super cool movies, super cool crossovers. And because I'm one of those people, like, for the next 40 years, I would watch superhero movies. I don't care. I love superhero stuff, and I think it's cool that it's hitting mainstream theaters, and it's doing well. I'm glad that it's doing well because this is something that, as a kid, I always wanted to see. So, anyway, yeah, Venom gets a PG-13 rating, to no one's real surprise. So moving on to gaming. Now, there's only like 3 things that I'm really going to talk about this. The last one's going to be a little lengthy discussion, I feel like, and it's something I kind of touched on last episode, and but I'm going to kind of discuss it a little bit more. So anyway, first thing, sources from VG247.com have claimed that a deal between Ubisoft and Microsoft prevented The Division, the first game, from looking better on the PlayStation 4. Now, keep in mind that the Xbox One had the exclusive on the DLC, so they got the DLC first over the PlayStation 4. And almost every single commercial or promo for the Division game, the first one, made it seem like it was actually an Xbox One exclusive title, even though it wasn't. But it was branded like it was an Xbox-only game. Because I remember all the commercials that were showed for it at the end, they would flash like the Xbox logo, the Xbox One logo. And then, or like at the beginning, it would be like, whoo, and then it would start showing the trailer for the Division. Now, because of this deal that Ubisoft made with Microsoft, reportedly, it's not confirmed, it's just a claim right now, but because of this deal, Ubisoft essentially downgraded the performance, like they downgraded the graphics of the PlayStation 4 version to look the same graphically as the Xbox version, as to, quote, prevent issues with Microsoft, unquote. Now, I know like there was like a huge outrage, and I'm pretty sure I discussed it last episode too, about like graphics in video game. There was a huge outrage over the Division because people were pissed that it looked way different and the game played out way different than what they showed at their first thing, which I believe was at E3 of the Division, and people were furious over it. And so it's possible that Microsoft was actually the reason that happened, because they didn't want the PlayStation 4 version to look better than the Xbox version, because they were the exclusive. And Ubisoft, like, they wanted to keep that exclusive. I'm sure it was probably a lucrative contract deal with them for that exclusive for the Xbox One. So they didn't want any issues with Microsoft. So they were like, you know what, let's just do this. Let's just make it look the same. And I don't know, man, and like I said in the last episode, I'm not one to, I'm not a graphics whore. Like, like I don't feel like it's something that's important to me as a gamer, but this is a problem. Like, if this claim is true, if there's some truth to this, and Ubisoft and Microsoft really had this like unspoken deal, or even if it was spoken, that's problematic for the gaming industry, because I feel like that's kind of not really giving out the best product that you can give out. I feel like if the PlayStation 4 version was going to be graphically better, just make the PlayStation 4 version graphically better. Like, showcase what you can do as a company. Don't bow to an overlord, essentially, just because they have an exclusive. Like, bring it up to them and say, hey, like, the PlayStation 4's version is going to look a little bit better, and go from there. If they start saying, well, no, you need to do this, and you need to make sure you downgrade it, and you need to make sure it doesn't look better than the Xbox One version, make it look the same. At that point, I don't know, as a company, if you start doing that, like, you lose your integrity, like, as a company. As Ubisoft, if this is true, man, I say, man, like, hey, bro, if you did this, but seriously, Ubisoft, if this is how it was, like, that's, as a company, you have no integrity. That's not cool at all. So yeah, that, I thought that was highly interesting, and something I was not ever really expecting to read. So anyway, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, this was showcased, I believe it wasn't showcased, it was announced at E3. It was kind of just like quickly talked about by EA. But it has now been reported that it's going to be